Given the repeated 5-mile loop, the running through the night, the solidarity, the poor weather, and obviously much, much more, if you had to choose one, was Enduro 24 more of a mental battle or a physical battle?
I think at the event, it's definitely more mental. I think the physical piece, yes, there is of course elements of running for 100 miles on your body that makes you feel pretty rubbish.
Yeah.
But I think you've done all the training, right? So that part of it should hypothetically be taken care of. So for me, the mental element, I think through the night, the weather was really, really tough, unfortunately. Wasn't expected in June. So for me, yeah, definitely mental. Just when it was dark, wet, 2 a.m., you're feeling, you've already run 60 miles, so everything's telling you to sit down and have a rest. So I'd say mental. Yeah, mental.
Was the weather? How bad was the weather? Did it affect like the ground underfoot and stuff?
Yeah. So it rained. It rained pretty much on and off all through the Saturday, and you have something like just under 4,000 runners over the 24 hours on the track. So there's 4,000 runners there, and people are broken up into soloists, pairs, and then small teams and large teams. So you've got teams ranging from 3 up to 10 or 12. So you've got lots of running clubs that attend, etc. So you can imagine just a repeated footfall on trowel, right? Because it's not road. There's parts of segment that are road, but the majority of it is just trowel in the middle of nowhere. It was, to put it lightly, it was like a quagmire. It was dangerous really at times. So you had a lot of marshals coming out trying to direct people on, don't go down this track, go down the other side. But it's very sort of undulated as well. So you're going downhill and it's it's like Bambi on ice. So that was tough. That was tough because it's just one of those things you don't necessarily forecast, take into account. You don't train for that really. You don't train for 24 hours running in shit conditions. But
And what was it like as an event for people that don't know? Enduro 24-hour race, 100 miles.
So I did it the year before as a team. So we did it for 5 of us for one of my friends. Unfortunately, his mother died 10 years prior of MND. So we, as a group of friends, raised a load of money. We did, it's like a relay, right? So you can do it as a fun. Some teams, they do like a party the night before. So it's like a running festival. So a lot of the teams go there, they'll have a beer the night before. Use it as a bit of a but they may only, but they might just do a couple of loops each or something, so they can sort of manage that. I didn't. I went home and slept on the Friday night and came back on the Saturday morning. But I would highly recommend it. I think just from I think it's just a very year on year. Friends doing 30 miles over 24 hours of laps. You don't sleep. It is tough, the sort of stopping, 2-hour break, going again. That was hard in some ways, but the solo part is just, it was a different beast, right? You've got no one to, at least when we were a team, you're coming back and someone's saying, even a pat on the back, you've done it now, get some food on, bit of fuel, you got some time to chill. The solo part is just, you're in your, it's a weird headspace. You're just in your own thoughts for a long time on your own. It's a bit of a dangerous place to be sometimes.
So how does it work? You do a loop and then how do you get an amount of time to stop or what?
No, so it starts midday on the Saturday and it finishes midday on the Sunday. So you can do what you want. So as a soloist, you can you can do 1 lap and that'll be it.
Sure.
Or you can do let's say the pinnacle of the race is getting the yellow jersey. It's just a t-shirt, mind you. It's not really not too much. But my aim was I would love to get the 100, and then you get like a yellow bib at the end. You get called on the platform or stage as such. So there was over 300 soloists, and I think 30 did the 100 miles. So it's the top 10%, I suppose. But some guys, the winner did 130 miles.
I feel like that's a lot.
He's won it back-to-back years. The guy is named Dean. I met him actually, really nice guy, in his 50s. This is the other thing with ultra running. It's not necessarily like a young man's game.
This is what I've heard. Not an area I'm sort of knowledgeable about, but have heard it's sort of something that as you get older can always get better at.
So I think what a lot of people, what endurance running does, or ultramarathon running does, it's doesn't really have like a sell-by date, right, in terms of that, because I think it's like a cumulative amount of experience years of long distance running. Like, gives you that build up. So you get a lot of people in their, 50s, but even in the late 30s, a guy who just won UTMB. So I don't know if you know much about that. So
roughly.
It's the biggest trail race in the world. So Tom Evans is what? I want to say he's 30. I want to say he's 37. So it just shows, I think, that you can you can still have maybe a bit more longevity in the game in trail running. So so it's more about endurance and mind. I think to your original question, I think that probably just shows you become a bit more mentally experienced.
There you go. Okay, so you said yourself, running has become almost like a daily ritual.
Yeah.
What, why, and how?
That's a good question. I do ask myself that sometimes, especially when it's really crap, cold and miserable outside. But I think, it's just like I think I said to you before when we spoke, it's a bit like, it's become like brushing my teeth in the morning. Like, if I don't run, I like recognize it. I can recognize it. So how have I got there? I'm not sure, if I'm being completely transparent. I think it's just like, doing it again and again. And then I think for me, it's not really just the fitness, it's mentally. So like for work, for an example, I can give where it shows up that I don't. So sometimes, I have to present with execs or senior leadership. And if I don't run and I turn up and present, I feel like I'm off. But I do run in early in the morning and then I present. I don't know, some endorphin release or just maybe a placebo, I'm not quite sure. But I feel like it's become so mentally apparent if I don't do it, then now it's like, I have to do it.
I think it's interesting. I've found recently it's the fresh air that does it for me.
Maybe that's it.
I find when I've been in the gym in the morning, so being indoors and then going straight into the office, I just feel a bit, I don't want to say sluggish, but not quite on it. Whereas if I've been outside, whether it's for a walk, on a training session outdoors, you just feel, I don't know, starting the day a bit fresher.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Sharper. But I think it's interesting. Do you run every day or?
So I did. I get into the habit of that, but no. When I go into like training for a specific event, I normally just run 5 days a week, and then I'll take 2 days rest. Normally after a bigger run, long run, I'll rest the next day, and then vice versa. 3 or 4 days run, and then I'll have another rest day. So 5 days a week is the main sort of focus, I suppose.
No, for sure. You in the gym in between that or no?
Do you know what? It's something I need to be better at. I've never really loved strength training, which is a bit of an unseen thing. I know it's very popular for most.
But it's quite trendy now.
Right. I'd look a lot better, right? Aesthetically, which would be nice. But yeah, I flit in and out of it. I'll do a bit. And it might last 3 or 4 weeks of doing 3 or 4 sessions, and then it like creeps away from me a little bit. I'll come to that, and I sort of just don't. I think and this may be a bit of an excuse. I enjoy running more, so I don't really enjoy weight training. I find it a bit mind numbing. My personal opinion. And I also don't like the idea of being indoors, right? The part for me, like treadmill running, dreadmill.
I think most people have agreed on that one.
So for me, it's like being outside, to your point, fresh air. I love being outside. It gives me a bit of time to think. The challenge for me in the gym is just I don't get that. It doesn't feel like I'm escaping anything, which sounds a bit of a weird concept, I suppose. But
no, I get it.
But I do fully aware, like you get injuries, there's, loads of science behind, doing strength and conditioning work is hugely important to stopping those niggles. So I think, but my excuse that I was coming to is I feel like it's another thing, right? If you're running 5 days a week, average 50, 60 miles a week, it's finding another an hour a day or even 3 hours a week, right? And I've got a young family, a job. It's like, okay, it's enough. It feels like quite a lot of a balance to get right as it is, just adding another layer.
No, for sure.
But it's a bit of an excuse. I'm sure I could find it somewhere.
It's choices at the end of the day, but it's very true, right? I mean, you're constantly hearing about the next thing that you should be doing as a runner, as like a footballer, or whatever it is you do, and that this will help you perform better. And it's like, okay, but when do I do it?
Yeah.
And the reality is, for amateur athletes, as we're trying to talk about more, it's time is a limiting factor.
It is.
It is. It's what we get to deal with, and we love it. But okay, right. So first steps. And what I love that you sort of said in the little form was lamppost to lamppost. Tell us about that. That's where running started for you, yeah?
Yeah, so I used to play a lot of football, and I went to, the company I used to work for, every year they used to do a global football tournament. So it was awesome. It became like a big deal internally at work. And we were England, right? Labelled as England office. And I went to a tournament, and we won it actually. And I came back, and there were some photos that were sort of shared globally. Worked for a big enterprise business. And I saw photos of myself, and I'm like, wow, who is that big fat guy? Who is he? He's put on a lot of weight. And it was obviously me, right? So I thought, wow, I need to, I wasn't playing football as regularly as I was. And I was like, wow, that is not the guy that I remembered. So I started running. And I'd always played football and thought I was, I'd say fit, reasonably fit, right? I started running and thought, oh, wow, I am not as fit as I thought I was. So that was sort of where the lamppost to lamppost part came in. So I remember going out for a run, and it started there. Started I say I could probably run more than a couple of lampposts, but it was that. And then I was like, wow, I need to stop here. I was bloating. And then just built that up over time. And also that was a sort of factor of trying to get a bit healthier, trying to lose a little bit of weight as well. So those sort of two things in sync sort of got me to be a bit more consistent. So going out sort of 3 times a week, only doing maybe, starting at like a mile, then sort of building up to a 5K. Never really ran before, bar just in football. And then, just sort of slowly built that up and started getting better. And then sort of COVID sort of came along over that sort of 18-month period of doing that. And then that was when I really sort of got the bug of wow, this is my escape of, mundane life of sitting indoors every day. You get, I can't remember the exact sort of rules, but it was sort of like an hour escape. Right? You could be out of your house. So I started, going out every day, getting the bug for it. In tandem, started feeling a lot healthier. I lost a couple of stone in weight. So it was like a trigger, I suppose, of wow, this is really good for me. It makes me mentally feel great. Losing a bit of weight. We're in a really shitty time, right? In terms of from a global pandemic perspective. So it's sort of, those sort of, those points really helped, I suppose, keep that build up. Yeah.
Did you enjoy it to start with?
No. I think running. I think one thing I would say is even now I reflect running is hard. I don't think it's ever easy. I've been running now for a consistent period, a number of years, and it's still not easy. Still not easy. Went out on Friday and felt terrible. And you have good days, you have bad days, but I'd say on the whole, it's never that. It doesn't really get that much better. Because you might get better, but then your expectation increases, right? And that could be around speed or distance. So I think throughout your journey in anything you do, you become. It may become easier in one aspect, but it's never linear, and it never feels that simple to me.
I think it's perspective, isn't it? I actually saw a clip, someone talking about 5K. And saying how a 5K race never is easy.
That's horrendous.
Because ultimately, you're always trying to go as fast as you can, and it's the same thing. What's your 5K time? And whether it's 25 minutes training before sub 30 or whatever, and obviously people start thinking see a crazy sort of sub 20 minute time. We're whoa, I'm never going to get there. But then people who are at 20 minutes and trying to go for 18, it's just as hard for them as the people trying to get under 30 sort of thing. It's all relative, right?
I think you've summarised that beautifully. Yeah, that's so true.
But okay, so you said running, it can always be hard, but you've also actually said, which I think is fascinating, because I actually agree with what you're saying. It is always hard. I think that's almost kind of what's beautiful about it, is that it's that process of it being hard, which almost teaches you and ingrains it in you to keep going, and that can obviously help with other areas of life. But you always said that it doesn't need to be hard. Why is that?
Yeah, and I think that's more to a lot within friends and family now, sort of people, they'll speak to me about running, right? Naturally, it comes in conversation, and they'll say, I've been out for a run and it's been awful. Like, I've hated every single second of it. And I think my point to it being easier is probably more to like when you're just starting out, is to try and get more people out on the road or out on the trails. Is I would say just like start small. Yeah. Don't worry about even tracking it on your watch, because I think that's another part of it now. We compare ourselves to others. Yeah. And I think just go out and enjoy it. And if that means running to lamppost or tree to tree, then that would be my advice. Just do that and then have a walk. Yeah. And then when your heart rate recovers, then go again. And what will happen if you do that 3 or 4 times a week, it might feel tough still, but I sort of feel it will be easier than just in your head thinking, I've got to go and run a 5K here. Yeah. And then coming to the end of it, your heart rate's at max for the whole 35 minutes or 40 minutes you've run. Because what will happen eventually is you won't stick at that, in my opinion. A lot of people will flit in and out of running because it is so hard. Yeah. But I think it's so hard because they're expecting like high level performance immediately. So for me, that part of it can be easy. It's not necessarily easy as a whole, but it's more around starting easy, building yourself up. Just build consistency is the most important.
Oh yeah, no. Max Mercer, I was interviewing last week. He was saying exactly the same thing. He was like, "Don't go at 110% for one day and then not do anything for the next week.
That's it.
Just be at 80% and just keep that going day after day, and that will accumulate over time, right?"
Totally agree.
But okay, so London Marathon. What happened there? That was your first big one, and we said we'd talk about that. So please,
it was
share.
I've got some demons with the London Marathon, if I'm honest. So I've run it twice for a couple of different reasons. So I ran it initially back in 2019 in memory of my dad. So my dad passed in 2011. Wasn't a runner, and he suffered, bless him, with cancer for a number of years. But he went into remission in 2010, and I remember he phoned me up and said, "Alex, I'm running the London Marathon in the April of 2011. I was like, "What? You're not going to run the marathon?" Like it wasn't sounds disrespectful to him, bless him, but it just wasn't something that I'd ever foresee. Obviously, fitness has become more of a talking point in general life now, but back in 15, 16 years ago, it wasn't quite what it has become. So I was like, "Really? Like, are you sure, Dad? Like, you've just gone firstly through pretty traumatic couple of years." But he was like, "No, I want to do it." And the main focus for him was that Guy's in St Thomas's Hospital, which is in central London, was where he was being treated, and you run past it. So for him, it was like a closure thing. Yeah, it's like, I've spent years in here, and it was like, for him, it was some sort of closure, and he did it in aid for his dad that had passed from MS. So he wanted to raise some money for his dad. So anyway, so he did that, amazing, in April 2011. And unfortunately for my dad, cancer came back literally about 3 months later after running the London Marathon. And he ended up, unfortunately, cancer had spread, come back. Diagnosis, we were back and forth for a number of months. But anyway, in the November of 2011, so 7 months after running the London Marathon, he passed away. So it was a bit of a, obviously, I was 21, pretty somber time in life of how things can change so quickly, thinking that, everything's probably all right now, right? Naturally he's in remission. He's just run the London Marathon. Yeah. We're out of the woods now, right? Yeah. But it came back, and as I said, died 7 or 8 months later. So I think at 21, didn't really think too much about running or anything then, right? It's probably like sort of cascaded away. Not really the best. I think if a real, even now, self-reflect of, 15, 16 years later, probably never really grieved. It's just not the way I've dealt with things. Rightly or wrongly, I sort of okay, right. Obviously sad, of course, awful time, especially for my sister who was sort of, younger than me. Yeah. But never I don't really reflect too often. It's okay, right, well, tough shit happens, right? Let's move on. And there's some good to that, I think, in to a point. But I think to jump ahead of time, I think it came around in 2018 thinking, okay, well, after that lamppost to lamppost running more regularly, okay, is this maybe is this some and then now I've thought about this later, is this me grieving now? Like, am I doing this running from like somewhere in there that Dad did this, and maybe it's an opportunity to start my process of grieving, or just sort of dealing with it. And decided to run it for charity for bowel cancer in 2019 in London. So that's sort of jumped a long way there. But so did that in 2019. Set an ambitious goal at the time of sub 4 hours.
Okay.
Training went well, was flying. Quite emotional day though, because it's sort of obviously Dad on my mind. Again, not using an excuse, but bonked, massively bonked. 18 miles in, hit a fucking wall like you wouldn't believe. And it's if you're not, many runners out there will know this. It's a hard feeling to describe, hitting the wall. But it basically just means you've not taken on enough fuel. Super inexperienced as I was. And felt like death. So really struggled, missed out on the target. I think I was like 4:15. Beat myself up for months after of, wow, you've let yourself down. And, you know, cut a long story short, was very disappointed in myself. So, but was also reflective, raised a ton of money for my dad at the time. I think about £5,000, which was great for the charity in memory of him.
Huge.
So yeah, that's it. That's sort of London Marathon. I have done it since. Somehow hit the same wall, man. 2022. Messed up again. Didn't get my fueling right. Went out too quick. Was a more experienced runner, so I can't really use that as an excuse. It was 3 years on, knew a lot more. But yeah, I would say fouled again to a point. Didn't get the goal that I wanted. And that's why we're now focused on Valencia in December, from jumping into ultramarathons to pivoting back out to this. This is like it for me, I think. If I can do what I want here in December, I think maybe it will just be back to the trails and the longer stuff, because I feel like I've done what I want. Yeah, once I've ticked the boxes, I don't really enjoy road marathon. I don't really enjoy road marathoning as much. Yeah.
You feel like you've got to do it and get it done.
Yeah, just to prove to myself, like, and there's also, like, you know, it sounds awful, but you know, friends, the circles you keep of like, okay, Alex, you can run 100 miles, but hey, you've not really done a quick, fast marathon, right? So it sounds really awful. And
yeah, I mean, it does sound awful, to be honest. I mean,
right?
Ultra marathons and like the long distance running has been one of those things that I just think you've got to go, you know, fair play.
Yeah, it's just different. Yeah,
got to be a different breed to do that. I think it's super, super impressive. I mean, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I think like kind of the story of your dad and whatnot. And do you think running has helped with that grieving process? Now, as it sort of built up over time, you said it was kind of maybe an indirect and unconscious thing to start with. Has that sort of developed over time? Yeah,
I think so. I think it's a bit of a strange one, because I wouldn't say I'm necessarily, I'm not a religious person, but I think I feel like for a lot of people, you're not religious until you lose someone. And what I mean by that, that's not necessarily like, praying or going to church regularly, but I think I'll give you examples. There's lots of times when I've been in hard moments of running while I speak to Dad. So he doesn't speak back, right? But it's like a coping mechanism for me. And I do use that as a little bit of a way of dealing with it selfishly, I suppose, in the hard moments, right? Speaking to Dad, he's probably thinking, God, man, just, leave me alone. But a lot of the time I will, and in the 100 miles I definitely did, through the night, I would, have a brief, conversation to myself, either in my mind or out loud, of like, hey, Dad, like, struggling here, man, can you help me out? Like, whatever that may be, it's just a bit of like a jovial conversation. But I think, I think running has definitely helped me process maybe some of those demons. It's my grieving process for not just for Dad, but for, I think grieving makes it sound like really deep, but I think like grieving for lots of challenges you come up in life, right? Like if I feel like sometimes like, oh, you're having a hard moment in life, running will make me feel better regardless, right? If I go out for a run, I know I'll come back and that will clear my mind, maybe give me a bit more like a balanced perspective on how to deal with a tough moment. So I think it helps. Yeah.
So ultras, when did that start? Because that's, I think, marathons in their own right are a massive undertaking. I think that's something that I always don't like now is on social media, because you see, not that it's been normalised, but you see much more of whether it's the ultras or like Ironmans, these super long distance races, is that a marathon, which is still a huge undertaking, has almost been, I don't know, I don't want to say diminished, but it's almost like step down a grade, because people are normalising these extreme races, and then people are just getting into it like, I'm just trying to do a marathon, that's big enough. So those are obviously huge undertakings, but what made you make that step to go, I want to go and run 100 miles?
No, it's true. I think I did a couple of what we call more like trail running events. Okay. So off-road, normally in pretty picturesque places. So nice. A couple of them were in the New Forest. If you know the New Forest, it's lovely. A really nice part of the UK. And I did some not ultra marathons. So a lot of these trail events, they do like different lengths. So you can do a half marathon, 18 miler, marathon, ultra marathon. So there'll be like 4 different distances. So I sort of tested out these events on my own. I just enjoyed being out. I think the beauty of ultra marathon, there is less worry about time. Yeah, time is not the aim here. It's more about maybe a bit of sense of belonging out in the out in the big world. Endurance, less bother. There's people that want to go and win the event, but it's not it's just completely different in terms of, I think, the demographic of people there. So it's naturally a more mature demographic. So you get a lot of people that are in their 40s, 50s, even older than that, which you've got some really great runners that maybe were road runners that have now transitioned into trail running. So I started there, and then just you go down a rabbit hole online of searching, okay, well, what are these events? What's possible? I sort of just love the method, or the idea of it's good to do tough things. Absolutely. And I quite like that ideology, if you want to call it that, of stepping outside your comfort zone and how far can you push yourself? Yeah. And that was sort of my, bought Runner's World, started reading that, which would be very boring for many. But for me, it's pretty good, and you'll see lots of different events and people's stories, and that gave me a bit of inspiration to start jumping into that world.
What was the first one then?
Oh, good question. So I did, I think it was probably only the start of last year. I started doing one, it was called the Big Way Round, sort of out in Winchester way. And it's like a 15 miler, super muddy, huge elevation, but just love the community, love the fact, for an example, so you're seeing a lot of ultramarathoning, that a lot of people walk the hills. Right, because it just, what you're gaining of sprinting up it versus what you're doing to your body is it's horrific. So I sort of saw some of those things, and I was I can sort of see, to my point of, there's no agenda here. There's no one trying to I'm better than you type, pushing each other out of the way. It's just a much more, I think, not much more, but it feels more friendly. It feels a friendly community, and I sort of felt some allegiance to that. So that was the first. And then I was okay, I love that. Did a bit more, kept my mileage up high, and did a 50K in December last year. And that was sort of the moment after that of doing the 50K, which again, I seemed to attract poor weather. Was in the New Forest. Honestly, it was biblical conditions. Puddles, sort of knee high. Did it, and then was okay, well, I did enjoy in 2024 with friends. Let's go and do a solo endure in 25 and see where I land. So, and that was the 100-mile journey start. So, and now just completely obsessed with it, and want to just do more. Continually looking at different challenges online, and I've started booking numerous things for next year. So if my body gets me there.
I am slightly familiar with that. My girlfriend seems to constantly be telling me about the next race that she's found and wants to go and do.
It's expensive though, that's the downside.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? I kind of get it, because like these things, I guess you can't really underestimate the kind of logistics and setting up that needs to be done for it. But it does seem crazy that just to go and run a race, you've got to spend a few $100 sort of thing.
And then it's your trainers and your bag and your
fuel.
fuel. It's I wouldn't want to calculate how much I do spend a year now, but it's not.
I bought the race day fuel for Rose just by chance. I was in outdoors. She's like, "Oh, can you get all these bits for me?" It was like £50 just for like loaded gels and stuff. I was like, "What in the world?"
It's all the little bits you don't add up. It's expensive.
But okay, so for that first 100 mile, obviously the race itself, huge undertaking, mentally, physically, a lot of variables. But what was it like when you say you did that one in the New Forest, a 15 miler, and then sort of obviously committing to just in miles, a lot more training, of course, each week. What was that like? Did you manage it all right to start with, and how did that develop?
Yeah, so I think I've learned it's like anything, you become a bit more experienced, is not to sort of do like, don't jump from 30 miles a week to 60 miles a week, right? Like I think within the sort of, so-called running community, I think the 10% matrix is sort of quite, apparent. It's like every week, add 10% to your volume. Sure, and you shouldn't get injured. It's the sort of plan. Right? It doesn't always work that way. But I think what I have learned when increasing mileage is recovery. Has been the change. So probably for a long time, even when I was doing marathon training of London, and was not as reined in on like nutrition, drinking water, having electrolytes regularly. And I think that's been the sort of differentiator now moving into longer distances. Like actually you're putting your body through some pretty brutal mileage on the legs, and God, you're going to feel tired and accept that, but just try and sort of learning how to like coping mechanisms. So, that's like rolling your legs every day. For me, it's like having cold baths, drinking water, just probably what's seen as maybe more like basic fundamentals now that has become more normalized. Yeah. But when I started running, it was less known, I think, like anything. So for me, I think that's been the real switch, is just making sure that, okay, you're now going to be doing 60 miles a week. What does that mean for your body, and how are you going to deal with that?
Well, what would you say has been the sort of, if you had to pin down one thing as being the most important for recovery for you?
Sleep.
Yeah.
I think sleep is hugely underrated, especially for amateur athletes. And I think, the elites know that. They have the people telling them. But I think for amateur athletes, I think we take for granted, watching Netflix till 10:30, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I think getting an early night can't be said enough for that.
I would agree. I think,
and for me, that is, people call it boring. Like my friends on WhatsApp, they say, like we'd be talking about football, watching the football, and they're talking about it's like hours in bed, like because I'm up at 5, right? So for me, the sleep has been the main one.
Yeah.
No. How about you? Do you sleep enough?
I do now. I didn't for a long time. I've been on the early mornings for years now, but my problem was when I was the first few years I was doing them, I was still going to bed at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and I was still trying to go out on the weekends with my mates and tick the social box, whatever it is, and I'd be running off like 4 hours sleep some day and living off caffeine. It was ridiculous. And it was actually the Whoop, which feels excessive and like an expensive means of getting better sleep, but it did sort of make me realise, like, bloody hell, like, I'm not sleeping anywhere near enough. I could see my recovery score, like my quality of sleep, whatever it was, and obviously when you're getting that little and sort of compounded by other habits, it's bad as well. It really did make me go, bloody hell, I think I need to get more. And it's still something I have to work at, but I can generally say I get sort of above 7 hours now, which I find any less than that now, I feel it. I feel it. But no, weirdly, actually, probably I'd say it's not sleep though. And cold baths have been my best friends for my knees more than anything, just with the injuries. And I found just from an inflammation point of view, really helped all that down. And I'm better now. I found I went for a period I got really reliant on them, but now I've sort of been able to almost like use them in a healthy way, I guess, and not be like, right, I've got to get a cold bath, otherwise I'm going to feel like crap. And there's probably a mental element in there as well, but.
You become accustomed to a cold bath. So I think when you first do it, it's brutal.
Oh yeah.
But I think your body well, I find it that now I do it. It's not like the first.
Oh no, I'd agree.
Dropping is hard.
I'd agree.
Then you're like, actually, this is all right.
Yeah, no, 100%. I actually quite enjoy them. But the thing that I find quite humbling is my girlfriend is brilliant with the cold. Whenever we go to the sea, I love a cold swim at the beach. But I do like a minute max, and I'm out. I'm frozen. I'm like getting 5 layers on. She'd be in there for like 5 minutes, sit on the side in her swimming costume still and just chill. And I'm like, I'm dying. But no, I think it's brilliant, the cold. I think
it is good.
It helps. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of science behind it. I won't know. But it does make you more sort of able to deal with things, I find. Because if you can resist that initial shock and then get your breathing under control and just settle, you do just calm down in a heightened scenario, right?
So have you tried cold and hot therapy? This is like the thing that it's been around for years. Sort of jumping in cold and then back into hot.
The few times we've done it, we've actually gone to. There's obviously all these saunas popping up on beaches. We've done loads now. They're all over the place. We actually did one recently at Low Earth Cove.
Okay.
They just got one there. Brilliant, stunning, because they got it right on the beach.
Oh, wow.
And yes, you can do a sauna and then go in the water, and it's it's the best I've ever felt after any kind of recovery. You just feel so relaxed. I don't know what it is, and I guess it's taking your body through the temperature changes, really increasing the blood flow. Oh, it's amazing. You?
I haven't really, only indoors, like a cold bath and then like hot shower. Not quite the true sort of cold to hot therapy, but.
Still counts.
I think so. There's lots of things I'd like. Again, I think they say sauna's a really good one as well.
Yeah.
It's just time, man. I'd love to have all this equipment indoors as
well,
right? Have all this so I try and, to the point of being an amateur athlete, I deal, I do what I can. I do what I can to improve that recovery.
I think that's the most important thing, right? As long as you can say to yourself, right, have I done everything that I can do, whether that's from a recovery, training, sleep point of view, that's what matters at the end of the day, right? Because we've got plenty of other things to contend with, and as long as we can say that, then that's all anyone can ask from you, right?
Yeah.
But okay, I think something quite interesting you've sort of spoken and alluded to is like escape and like a coping mechanism. And I think that's really interesting because I can relate to that a lot. And I think when you kind of frame it like that, it almost sounds, it can be perceived as negative, but I actually think it's a really good thing because it's finding healthy coping mechanisms and ways of getting that release. And do you find that straight away with running, or is that kind of something that developed over time, do you think?
Yeah, I think over time. I think it's more when you're initially starting out running, it feels difficult. That lamppost to lamppost isn't always that easy. It's difficult to think anything else other than just I need to get this done.
Get to that next lamppost.
I need to get this done and as quickly as possible so I can go home and enjoy hopefully that endorphin release. But for me, as it becomes sort of maybe more experience in running, I can become more comfortable with my own thoughts. So I use it as a thinking time. Some of my best ideas around either work or at home have come from just being out running, and sometimes I wish I could, get my pen and paper out and write some of that sort of maybe I don't know, inspiration or something that comes to mind, because you can't always capture it in the run. Time I get home, I thought, oh damn, I forgot. But on the whole, I do my best to try and take away. I think to your point that those, I think it's a really good place to go away and. Escape and just use it as thinking time.
Do you run with headphones?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. So I have like a bone conductor, type headphones.
Okay,
so you can still hear a bit of like nature if you're out in the trails, etc. Cars, so they don't hit you, of course. But I do. But I did use that. This is quite a good one actually. So when I did 100 miles last year, started at midday, and as a bit of a coping mechanism of getting through that. I didn't have any headphones for the first 14 hours.
Okay. Oh, so you were allowed to use headphones though?
Yeah, because you're not in a, normally they don't let you headphones if there's any like roads, right? Like
sure,
roads, but
sure,
because this was out in a private area, you could. So I didn't, but I didn't from when we started at 12 midday. I didn't use any headphones until 2 a.m.
Okay.
Because I knew that the headphones would give me a lift.
Sure.
So I knew when it was light, when I felt at my best in the earlier miles, that like headphones would not give me the advantage. It would just be like nothing. Yeah. But I felt when I put them on at 2 a.m, it sort of gave me a natural
little boost,
a little lift. So I'd recommend that to anyone if you are doing an endurance, not just running. I think it's a good way of. You're just finding a little, you're talking maybe a small percentage. You still don't want to do it, right?
Still counts, right? When like you're that.
Just a little bit of a.
In those extremes, I have no doubt that can make a lot of difference.
But podcasts, I do like a podcast now.
Okay.
When I'm running. Not if you're doing fast stuff, if you're doing speed work, no, it has to be music for me.
Yeah, no, I can get that.
Fast-paced, beat. But if I'm out doing like a zone 2, 22 miles or something like that, then just something that is like, I don't know, a football podcast or something, because I feel for me that I concentrate on the words that's been spoken. Yeah. Because I think with music, you can become like just white noise. Yeah. It can be anything you're listening to. Sure. Where with podcasts, you sort of concentrate, you take yourself out of the road. Sure, yeah. You concentrate on the sort of like dialogue and what's being spoken about. So that works for me sometimes, change it up. A lot of runners that I speak to don't listen to podcasts. I'm quite amazed. But yeah, that would be a recommendation maybe, is just try it. Yeah, try a podcast.
Favourite podcast at the minute?
Oh, favourite podcast. Oh, wow. Now I've gone blank. I quite like sound like an old man here, but I quite like the Football Daily from the BBC. Okay. It's pretty current from the day before. Sure. It's 30 minutes, just gives you a bit of a, like after Sunday or something. Yeah. And also you love all over him. The Gary Neville podcast after a Super Sunday, I quite like.
I haven't listened to that one yet. I keep seeing clips from it, but I haven't
So he just does like a quick 20, he's normally on commentary, right? So him and Drury, who's the main commentator, they just do a 20-minute wrap-up of the weekend. Okay. So for me on a Monday morning, it's just a good
catch up.
Just a quick catch up. And unfortunately, we do all somehow get looped into their biased opinions. Right? Yes. Gary Neville says can be seen as gospel.
Yes. No, I think we all get that. Yeah.
Sorry, not very thought-provoking podcast, really.
No. I love the rest is football. Gary Lineker one. I think that's brilliant.
Richards,
they're great. I think anything. I think they're just a great way, whether it's news or like learning something. It's such a simple form, whether you're in the car, as you say, running, whatever it is. Just get a bit of time to listen to something. I think, amazing. That's what we're doing now. So I can't really put a downer on them at all. But okay, the other thing you spoke about before we go on to the next bit is about kind of how it's affected you with work in a positive way, running. Is there any other kind of transferable, whether it's just impact or like skills or just lessons that you've learned from running that you've been able to take, whether it's into work or other areas of life that you really noticed and been aware of?
Yeah, I'm actually going to spin that. I'll try and finish on a positive. I'm going to spin that and say actually there's an element of it from a negative perspective. And I think that means I don't always necessarily have much empathy, which my wife tells me quite regularly, which I'm trying to get better at. So what I mean by that is I think sometimes I think there's a reflection point of not everyone's like you, Alex. And I think not everyone sees the world how I do, and that sounds like maybe I'm being a bit self-righteous sometimes, and that's something I need to be better at. It's like, just because you can go out and run 15 miles and someone makes an excuse for not running today, or I feel a bit like I've got a cold. I'm like,
shut up,
right? And that's really not a good trait to have, though. It's good for me because obviously it gives me that motivation to be, disciplined in going out and doing hard things, as we spoke about earlier. But I do think, when everyone's different, and I think sometimes don't put your own goals and spin on everything and expect the same for everyone, because you want to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I think you can say that for a lot of things in life. So for me, I want to try and get better at being a bit more empathetic and realizing that running's not for everyone, or getting up at 5 o'clock's not for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it's tricky, because I get that, and I think I have a bit of that in me myself, and it's hard because I think some of that you should take as a good thing, because it shows that you've got a strong mental headspace, and you're resilient, you're disciplined, and you go out and you get it done regardless, and where maybe other people make excuses. But as you say, everyone's different, people have got different goals. And I actually kind of apply this, because I get so annoyed when you hear people talking about, like, oh, people need to get in the gym, like, sort of, you hear people like, oh, I'm trying to come to the gym more, but I really don't like it. And I think people seem to forget, like we mentioned it earlier, that the gym's almost become very trendy and popular now, and something that we always have to do. And yes, it has plenty of benefits, don't be wrong. And I would say, like, do it to people, but equally, you don't have to go to the gym. There's plenty other ways of being active and staying healthy. Like, just go for a walk, like do some yoga, like play a bit of tennis. Like, it could be anything.
I agree.
And the reality is, like, I think it's brilliant. Like, doing these ultramarathons, incredible. And I'm someone who's very dedicated to my training. And I think if other people can adopt that, it's great, and it can benefit other areas of your life. And it is a good trait to have. And yes, you say doing hard things is important, but equally other people just might not want to.
Yeah.
And if they've got another way of staying healthy, that's just as good as well. But
totally agree.
Yeah, having that, I think, perspective on a day-to-day basis can be tricky. Yeah. I do get that.
Yeah, I think from the positive side, I think there's lots of examples that I can take a bit of that negative and shine a light on it as well. And I think with my kids as well, got dad of 3 girls, and there's tough moments in their life. There's always something going on, good and bad. But I think them seeing some of that through me is a good light. So sometimes when they're having a difficult moment, I say, okay, well, there's an element of, we can sometimes get too caught up in the like, I feel sorry for myself a little bit. And that's fine. We all do that, right? We all feel like that sometimes. But I think I see my girls sometimes taking on the mindset in a good way of like, oh, okay, right, yeah, I don't feel great today, but it's Monday. And I always say to the kids, I'm jumping around a little bit here, but I always say to the girls before they leave, to every single girl, smash the day. Like, just try, and we all have that Monday, me too, right? And I say it, and I don't even believe it sometimes, right? But it's like something, because I feel like it's just a little bit of positivity. It means nothing to many, it's laughable, right? But for me, it's like, smash the day, girls, and they'll say it back to me, and it's like become our, like, I don't know, price, slogan, whatever you want to call it. And then in work as well, I work within the people team, sort of a program manager there. And my role sort of sits in talent development. So it's a lot about coaching, providing professional expertise and how we can provide growth and development in our jobs. So there's a lot of transferable skills there, I think, in showing up, being consistent, but doing it in the right way. Back to my previous point of not doing it in a fashion that is like arrogant or like, just because I do this, you should be doing it too. Like, so there's definitely lots of transferable skills, I think, that I can take from running, or just getting up early and going out and getting it done, to everyday life.
I mean, going back to your daughters, have you gotten them into running as well?
Oh, that's a tough one. So my middle daughter Ruby we've done a lot of junior park runs. Okay, cool. But she is obsessed with dancing, where we are today. So she does a lot of dancing, and she's also obsessed with cheer. Okay. So cheer. So she's in like some squads. They travel the country and compete. She's very much like me, Ruby. So we're really good friends, but we also clash. So she's only 9. This sounds awful. Okay. But we both have very similar traits, right? We're both quite competitive, we're quite hard on ourselves. But I see a lot of her in me, which I love and don't love. My oldest daughter, Lola, she's super chilled. So thinks I'm a lunatic. Like, we were speaking yesterday about, I was thinking about doing a race next year that's more than 100 miles. She's like, why would you do that? Like, Dad, why would you do that? Like, and my wife's probably a bit similar to that as well. A bit more just like balancing views of everything in life. which is a great person to have by my side.
Oh, no, I bet.
Yeah. And then Molly's 5, so she's sort of, she has done junior park run, bless her.
Okay.
And she did say something to me when we did it about a month ago. And Molly's only diddy, bless her, for her age. She's quite small. And we did it, and she was like, what did she said something to me like, she said, I'm not going to give up, Daddy. I'm not going to give up. And she did it, and we were like third from last.
Yeah.
But for her, that was quite a nice thing. She made me quite emotional. So Molly was a bit ill when she was younger, so it's been a bit of a journey for her.
Okay.
So for her to do that was like, oh wow, like for her to say that at 5, and I didn't say anything. I didn't say like, you've got to do this. It was like just her like organically said, I'm not going to give up, Dad. And I thought that was quite nice to say. Maybe there's a little bit of my hard-ass mentality has filtered through, rightly or wrongly.
If it's rubbing off and she's sort of thinking in that manner, even in an honest way, right? That's still a great perspective to have more than anything else.
Yeah.
I think that's great. But okay, going back to your job as well and looking at it a bit sort of deeper, I guess that's kind of one of the biggest things with this amateur athlete narrative and this community we're kind of trying to talk to is how do you find that on a day-to-day basis? You say you get up early and you get out, but what's it like balancing that 5 to 6 days training weeks with what is clearly a senior role in your job?
I think it's it's very difficult. I have to say. I think it's being quite organised is probably one of the main things. Okay. I find that balance piece, not just with work, but family life and training. Those 3 like ever-changing landscapes really difficult to juggle. And I think those buckets are not always as balanced or filled as they could be. And sometimes they over-index in each one. So sometimes families, training, and then work, right? So I think the main one's the commute. So I work in London, so I get on the train, 4 days a week. I normally work from home on a Friday. It's not easy. It's not easy. But also that'll mean sometimes taking my gear to the office, going out at lunchtime, and then having a shower and then going back to work. So it's not easy, but I think on the whole, most weeks it's manageable. It's manageable. It becomes just like a lot of these things, just routine. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's perfect.
No, I don't think it ever will be properly for any of us. I think it's an ongoing battle, right? And that's what makes it a privilege just as much as a difficult battle.
And I think there's, to add to that, it's probably a level of a little bit of selfishness there. And I have a very, I say to my wife a bit of a widowed wife in many ways in terms of, used to me prioritizing going out in the morning. And she says, like, we joke about it, but it's probably a truth. We do joke about it. We don't get too deep into it, but she says, I very rarely wake up and you're ever in bed. Right? That's a bit of a weird, if you break that down, it sounds a bit of an odd concept, right? In many ways. So I do try my best, and I naturally wake up early, so it's not just a running thing. It's been like that for a while, but I think even more so late. And I'm like, maybe that's a bit shit, right? Like, married to someone that's like, it's not. Maybe I'm making it deeper than it needs to be.
No.
And these are the type of things I think you sometimes give up stuff.
It's sacrifices, isn't it? But I think you look at the flip side. This is funny enough, something me and my girlfriend were talking about recently, and it's the way I see it is, if you weren't doing that, you wouldn't be the person you ultimately are, and you wouldn't be working on the things that you want to work on, and all those things are ultimately something that your wife probably admires in you. And yes, it does mean that you will have to sacrifice, and other things will come at a cost of that. But equally, it's who you are, and it's the things you're passionate about. And it's good that you have those passions, right?
It's true.
If you don't, well, what are you going to be doing? Sort of sitting in bed all morning, and a novelty doing that every now and then might be nice once in a while, but it's an ongoing battle. And I think these things, wherever they are, and it will be different for everyone. It's that act of getting the balance right is probably never going to be smooth. It's something will get more, the other thing will drop off, and it's part of it, right? But
It's true.
it's all for the love of it. All for the love of it. But early mornings. What got you on that? You said you've been doing that for a while, regardless of the running.
Yeah. So I've not really gone too deep into this because I don't want to sort of like label myself too much. But I think there's probably a level of like, I haven't been diagnosed, but I think if like, you know, there's a lot around it now in the media, but there's probably an ADHD element in my mind. Okay. So that naturally makes me, so even from a young age, if I look back, like there's things now that, you know, you see, and things are much more like, we're all educated better than we ever were 20 years ago, right? And I've always got up, like I was always the first up in my house. I've always been an early riser. Yeah. I'd go out on, you know, on the piss with my mates. Yeah. I'd get in at 2 or 3 a.m. I'd still be up at 7. Yeah, I've been one of those weird people. Yeah. I think it's become more difficult. And sometimes I really wish that I could rest. And I mean that from a mental capacity. My mind is like, to describe it, sometimes it's like lots of different pieces of like, I don't know, broken glass that are like, and that sounds negative connotation. It's not always negative, but it's like, there's so many things sometimes in my mind. So like when I wake up in the morning, it's like, whoa, this is a lot going on in the brain today. How am I going to like compartmentalize all these things and get shit done? Because what happens is you do one thing and you don't prioritize the other 2 over here, and they're just as important. So I think for me, the early mornings is a good thing in many ways because I can start formulating my day better. But running really helps with all that like noise that I have in my brain sometimes. So I run, and it's like a suppression. Yeah. And there's two things that have helped with that, and they don't really go hand in hand. One is running, and the other one is alcohol. Right, and we haven't really gone into that, but I think I'm not drinking currently as I'm in this block, but they're like the 2 things that like like compress my brain to relax. So one is running, as I said, getting up early, getting it done. It just like lets me start my day right. And then one is in the evening, if I start sitting on the sofa and I'm like probably like evaluating how the day's gone, not like consciously that deep, but like, okay, well, you know, the brain starts going 100 miles. What am I doing tomorrow? Like, it's just like this like fast paced, and alcohol is like a suppressant, right? Yeah. So it does that. It's just like, gin and tonic. Netflix. It's like, that's the thing that, but that there in the evening, guess what? It doesn't really formulate too well to the next morning. No. So you get into this like vicious cycle. So, sorry, I've jumped off the early morning question a little bit there, but I think for me, it's, my mind is a bit of it's a strange one. As I've got older, I know how to deal with it, but I think if I was younger, probably could have got through some moments if I'd like had some self-evaluation of what my brain was telling me or doing. Self-assessment and my wife knowing me very well. Like, Alex, you just don't sit still. You know, I'm not very good at. Sometimes she's like, we'll just have a day at home on a Sunday, and she's like, you know, it's like 3 hours in. She's like, you don't like a day at home. It's like, you're not, and then you know you need to do something with your day, and that could be sweeping outside or just. I'm not very good at doing nothing.
No, I can relate.
I wish I would be. I really wish I could reflect and be better. I don't feel like I truly probably ever relax.
Be still.
Yeah, which is not we joke. It's like you're going to you're going to put yourself in an early grave. Like, and then maybe there's an element of that. Like maybe there is, and I'm better now. I'm a bit older, and I know I need to do it. I need to be better at it, but I'm not very good at just like relaxing,
chilling out.
Like even on holiday, like I'm not. I love the sun. I'm good at going for a run in the good weather. And I'm not very good at like sitting by the pool. So it's a godsend when we go on a holiday in the summer because I can just chuck the kids around in the pool and I'm like a kid. I'm back to being 14 again, right? I'm not very good at just, to your point, just decompressing and just.
It's so hard. I get it completely. I'm terrible at it as well, and I think the few occasions that I do manage to do it, it's something you just feel like, I needed that. It's tough, man. Especially when you're sort of dedicated to training as well. There's just lots of things to contend with. It's finding that time, making the time for it. It's hard, but I think it's invaluable as well because we all just need to unwind and say decompress almost. But yeah, how has your relationship with alcohol been? If you find it does help in that sense, which obviously may not be in the healthiest manner, but I do get it. Like I think a lot of people can probably relate to that.
Yeah, I think I'm a very much I'm like, you know, excuse me, sort of like feast or famine, right? I'm not a very good like in betweener.
Sure.
You know, so like my wife, for an example, she's really good. So you know, she could have a glass of wine in the evening.
Yeah.
That's it. Like just one glass of wine, and it's probably, you know, to be said, it's not probably that unhealthy for you if you do it on occasions, right? But I'm not very good at doing that. So I'm very much like, you know, you hear Liam Gallagher say, "Who goes out for one pint?" Right? Like that is me. So for me, it's like I'm either in or out, and I can probably say that for a lot of things in my life, like running, for example, right? Bit of an addictive personality to go alongside some of my less strong points, right? So I think, alcohol is that. So sometimes it's like, you know, I can quite get quickly into like a habit, I suppose, of you know, drinking regularly, right? That could be 3 or 4 drinks in an evening, or and then that just plays havoc into your training, right? So now I've sort of realised that, okay, well, I'm not addicted because, like, for an example, now I've gone 8 weeks without a drink. I'm good for it, but it's just like setting some. Okay, I'm not going to drink now for the next 4 months, and people will be like, "Well, that's ridiculous! Like, we're going out for a lad's beer to watch a football. Why are you not drinking now?" And it's like, well, yeah, because I'm not very good at just jumping in and out of this. So for me, it's like nothing. Or maybe everything, which sounds not great, and I need to get the balance right there too.
No, it's tricky, right? What about alcohol-free beers? I've really started enjoying those.
I do. I do have a few. I've tried a few, over the past few months. I normally have, a couple at the weekend probably.
Yeah.
And it means you can turn up to the pub if you want, and you feel like you're part of the, crack. You feel like one of the lads still. But you do get... you get demonized. Yeah. It's scary, you know, like, it's like, why are you not drinking? You know, why are you not drinking, you pussy? Or, you know, it's the booze culture in Britain is...
it's massive.
It's prevalent, right?
I think it is changing. It's better. I think purely the fact if you see, there's obviously so many alcohol-free beers and drinks brands now. It is getting more normalised and more acceptable not to be drinking. But, yeah, I think I would agree that a stereotype, if you like, is still there, that it's like, we're going for a drink. Like, it's just a way of socializing. But I think it's still there, but I think in a good way, it is starting to change slowly, but I think it is getting better.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
It is. But you're right, it's getting better. There's a lot more alternatives, isn't there?
Yeah, I think coffee culture has boomed, and I think that's almost probably inadvertently helped because it's more like, let's go for a coffee rather than let's go for a beer sort of thing. Which I love the coffee, so I'm not gonna knock that. But okay, I want to pivot slightly with the next bit because we spoke about your limited use and presence on social media, which I think is commendable. Honestly, I don't love it. Obviously, for this, I utilise it heavily, but I think if you can stay off it, you're probably much better for it. But if anybody was to look, I think it's quite obvious and apparent sort of the massive role that your wife and your family has, and no doubt on the day, just how big a role they played, but just how important have they been in the training, the general process and the day-to-day, and obviously the race itself and getting over that finish line.
Yeah, I think daughters, yes, of course, they are a huge part of our lives. We got 3 of them, so it's firstly a juggling act. But I love being a dad. I really do. I love being a dad. I love being 3 girls makes it probably very different to having 3 boys, right? Naturally. So, you know, I am, fully versed in every Disney movie, Wicked soundtrack. I know it all, mate. So, I'm very, very well versed in those type of things, but they are a good support. They've been to, bless them, up and down the country, multiple events with signs saying, you've got this, dad, and that's super inspirational. They are not just for running, but work and doing tough things. That's why you do it, right? Yeah. to hopefully leave a lasting impression on them. And I do think about it sometimes. I've got like an office sort of / bar, an outer building in the house, and there's like my medal sort of collection. It's become pretty, there's quite a few of them now.
Yeah,
probably over, I don't know, 50 or 60 medals. And I always sort of think, sounds a bit odd, but one day when I'm no longer here, at least I'll have that. It may mean absolutely fuck all to them. But it'll be a nice thing for me, I think, to go and like, oh look, Dad did a lot of hard stuff here. And that sort of like means a lot to me, that. And then, to be fair, my main one is Vix. My wife is poor woman. Like, I come back after everyone. And you might do this with your partner as well. It's like, a full diagnosis of every mile. My heart rate was too high, or that went really well today. I was in the flow. I said it to her this morning. I was in the flow this morning. She must be thinking, Jesus, but she doesn't. And I have to. She is a shining light when you have the bad moments. I think having a partner that supportive is, she's an inspiration to me. Even though I don't tell her that all the time, it makes me a bit upset talking about it like that. But she actually crewed me for the 24 hours at Endure. So didn't sleep, was there every lap, giving me, knows me well, knows the right things. And I said to her at the time, like, I'm gonna not want to do this at times, and be like a tough ass on her as well. Like if I'm saying, I'm not getting up, babe, I need a rest. Say to me, like, Alex, this is, the guy 12 hours ago wouldn't be speaking like this. Like, she knows the right things to say. I've got an injury here. She must be sick of it, I've got to say. But to be fair to her, she never complains. Like, and I think I'm not that person. I would complain. Like, I'd be like, babe, there's more to life than running. Because I'm not as good as her. Like, I'm not as good to her, but I don't think I'm as selfless as her. And that probably shows to my point earlier of running 50, 60 miles a week is not necessarily a selfless task. But Vix is very, very, I'm very lucky. And the kid's very, very lucky.
I think it's important.
I'm not sure everyone would have that. That wouldn't be as lucky to have that support.
No, it's invaluable. And the book I'm reading at the moment, actually, Think and Grow Rich, there was a section in that which was speaking about how countless, sort of, if you look over history, men in history who have been successful, influential for whatever reason, have almost always had the love and support of a woman behind them. And they dived into the psychology behind it and stuff, but just how powerful that can be. And I think you probably can't put into words just how much it can mean and the impact it can have. So I was saying, behind every successful man there's a successful woman. Something like that.
Something like that. Something like that. But it makes sense.
No, I think can't be underestimated for sure. But okay, so what's next? Valencia Marathon obviously coming up. What's the target for that?
So it's sub 3:15. I would love to be sub 3. I think it's probably just a bit beyond me from pivoting from really long distance stuff in June, July to doing that in December. I think it was, not impossible, but I think I didn't want to bite off more than I can chew and get injured. So 3:15. The watch is telling me faster. The predictor's telling me faster.
Always will.
But maybe when we speak next, I'll tell you if the watch was right or, I blew up again, right? Because that's the other thing I have some demons there that I'm nervous about. But I am more, more knowledgeable maybe now, more experienced in dealing with the fueling parts. I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's possible. And I think that's the start. So I'd love, so between 3 and 3:15, anything in there, I'll be delighted.
Oh, hell of a time.
I'll be delighted. And then I think the challenge, to your point earlier, is nowadays it's like 10 years ago, you'd be seen as like, wow, like elite in the recreational scene. Now, it's not, mate, right? Like, there's guys you see and 2:30, 2:40, smashing out times that, I could probably only dream of. But hey, I tried to get into the mindset of don't compare yourself to everybody, right? Just run your own race a little bit.
Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say.
It's a good saying.
Great line, that.
And then next year I'm doing, what's been really great as well for running for me is now I've got a community of my mates that we've all got a bit of the bug. So it's like 4 or 5 of us, we're all sort of in our late 30s. All were like lads, all love football, all used to love a beer. Some still do, me included. we've also sort of like, I don't know, seen the light, pivoted. Like priorities have changed, and you know, we do like a monthly Tuesday night where we just start at a pub, right, and we finish at the pub. So there are a few pints consumed at the end.
Balance.
But I think it's really nice that we've been able to like, it's like a journey, right?
Yeah.
Of like, you know, being friends, playing football, to your point, what we were talking about earlier. And now, like, you know, coming into our late 30s, got kids the same age. It's it's our new way of socializing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really, really, really nice. If you can get some friends that have the same interests. And it makes things much easier, right? So really enjoyed that. So the boys that we go out with on a Tuesday once a month, it's only once a month, but it's nice. And there's a couple of other lads that I do some longer runs with at the weekend.
Nice.
It makes it easier.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And after Valencia, going back to, so that'll be your last road race.
Well, I'm doing a 50k in just over 55k with a friend, 2 friends in February. The pilgrimage that sort of starts in Farnham and ends up in Sussex. Okay. So we're doing that. And in April, I'm doing Paris Marathon.
Oh, cool.
So which is back to road. So I booked this before I had this, because you have to book these races because they're like a year out, right? So
it's balanced, a lot of them, right?
Yeah, so both of them balanced, Valencia and Paris. I'm doing Paris, and then, but I'm going to probably use that as just a training run because I'm pivoting back.
But it's so funny when people say this. Yeah. It's a flex, really.
No, it's really not. I'm not trying to make it sound like that.
No. I just think it's brilliant.
It sounds like a bit of it really isn't meant to be like that. And then because I'm doing Endure again. Okay. In June, solo again.
So I was going to say solo again, yeah.
So some friends are doing it as well, but they're all doing a race. Some are doing a team, some are doing trios. So a really good friend, 2 really good friends, or 3 really good friends, so they're doing a trio. What will be nice is they'll be on the course and I'll see them, even though I'll be suffering in my own. So that's why I was going to use Paris as just mileage versus racing it, because I don't want to get injured. Yeah. So, and then, maybe a 200 miler in December next year is the plan. I've set my sight on, it's called Winter South Downs. So it's basically 200 miles round the south of England, pretty much covers a lot of the south of England.
I was going to say, you're going to get over most of it on that, wouldn't you?
So, but we'll see, because that's a big task. And you have to hit some metrics to, like in terms of qualifiers.
Okay, sure.
Like you have to have done 100 miler.
Right.
Obviously, they want to make sure that you're not going to, die on course, I suppose. So, but we'll see. But I haven't run that past my management at home yet. So my coach and the manager. But we'll see.
Oh, good luck to you, all of it, mate.
Yeah.
But,
thanks.
Okay, so a few questions to quick fire at you. But firstly, obviously, this is all about the amateur athlete. We're obviously trying to shine a light on it. Something I've been thinking about, and the word I mentioned in our last episode was celebrating the uncelebrated.
Love that.
But what do you think is the most important part or aspect or quality of being an amateur athlete that people should know?
Oh, that's a good question. I think probably off the top of my mind there is consistency. We said it already. It's just get consistent with something that you love. Just find your passion, and then just keep doing it. And then I think it's a bit of a, like, you can translate it. If you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. I think it's a very similar concept when it comes to recreational activity. So that would be my one: consistency.
Love it. Okay, quick fire questions. 7 of these, and then we've got the question that Maximus left for you. So you kind of already touched on it, but first one is, what does it mean to be an amateur athlete to you?
Doing really hard things. Love that.
Favorite quote at the moment?
Let me think. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yes.
Bit of an old one.
No, it's old but good though. Best lesson from your years of training?
be kind to yourself, even though I don't always live by it.
Yeah, yeah. Greatest achievement so far?
Yeah, I think we've spoken about it a lot, but yeah, the 100 miler in 24 hours. Yeah,
no doubt, no doubt. Biggest goal on the horizon?
Yeah, just Valencia coming up, number one. But yeah, just keep running, keep trying to do what I'm doing, and just a little bit of progress each day. Yeah.
What do you fall short in balancing that you'd like to get better at?
I think probably just more on what we've spoken about today around just filling up the cup in other areas sometimes, or bucket in terms of, maybe more time to the family when it's needed, or work, whatever it may be. So just a bit more balance everywhere across the board.
And what keeps you disciplined?
Sounds a bit cheesy, but just trying to be a bit better each day. A little bit of a better version of yourself each day.
Not cheesy at all. No, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one is what Maximus left on the last episode, and it's what can you do better?
What can I do better? Lots of things, I'm sure. And we've covered a little bit of this, but I think for me is just pause. Just pause and reflect on how far you've come. Like from the guy that was lamppost to lamppost to now being able to do 100 miler. I think that's it should be, in my own mind, be seen as a really big thing, but sometimes I don't always take time to reflect on onto the next thing. Right, what's next? What's next? And that's a good thing as well, but I think for me just a little bit of calm and reflection would be a good one. I think we can all do a bit more of that.
No, I'd agree. And what question would you like to ask the next guest?
Yeah. Probably a little bit linked to my question is what's more important, hard work or natural talent? Probably know the question, maybe the answer to some of that, but I think for me that's quite important.
Yeah. Okay. No, I love it. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to say or share before we finish up?
No, thank you. Enjoyed the chat. Thank you very much.
Likewise. Pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you.